Firstly, I'd like to say that we have translation receivers. So if you prefer to listen to us in German, you can do that. You can get the receivers right over there. So what we're living in the internet or experiencing in the internet is a real video explosion these days. When you surf around, you get on platforms, timelines, news websites, you see videos everywhere. Users want video content, especially mobile users. But even though we're living in a disruptive time for media industry, one thing will always stay the same, and that is a human being has 24 hours, not more and not less. So I'm very curious, to hear how each company sitting here is trying to attract users to their platform and avoid that users go to the rival's platform. Why should they stick to yours? That's the question I'm asking myself. First of all, each one of them would make a small pitch explaining why users will stick with them and not with the others. And afterwards, we'll discuss a little bit about it. Ben McGowan-Wilson just opened the YouTube creator space in Berlin on Thursday. He is Director of YouTube Content Partnership in Europe, Africa, and the Middle East. Welcome, Ben. Your stage.
Thank you. Morning, and thank you, first of all, for having me here. I wasn't sure after the last presentation whether I should just pack my bags and go home, so I'm pleased that you clapped me as I came up on stage. It's an exciting time for me to be here. As Alina mentioned, I was out in Berlin, just south of Tempelhof last week, opening our creator space here in Germany, our first on continental Europe, and we are hugely pleased to be partnering there with the Met Film School, and thank the Berlin media team for all of their support in getting that up off the ground. YouTube is rapidly approaching its 10th birthday. In fact, later this month, we'll be celebrating the first pretty unspectacular video that was uploaded on the site. You saw a link there, or the observant of you will have seen a link to it earlier. It was about elephants at the zoo and why elephants at the zoo were interesting. It was about as dull as that. 10 years on, we are a platform that finds itself with 1 billion users and more every month coming back to share and comment and like and engage with videos around many, many, many topics. Users from all across the globe, users and creators from all around the world. What began as a simple idea about trying to ensure that it was as easy as possible to share a piece of video content has grown in a way that certainly nobody at YouTube had expected, and I'm sure that certainly many of the media scientists 10 years ago would not have forecast YouTube would end up where it is today. We're fortunate to have found ourselves in that space. Alongside those 1 billion users coming every month and sharing, they deliver over 300 hours of new content every minute to the platform. 300 hours of new content every minute. I'll put that in some kind of context. So we're Wednesday. By Sunday of next week, that means on YouTube there will be more new video content have been uploaded than has ever been created in the history of film and television in Europe, between now and a week on Sunday. That is the most wonderful thing about our platform, and is also the most challenging thing about our platform. It's the thing that gives me and my team a daily job. It's the reason that we've opened the Berlin Creator Space here for German creators. Because as a platform, that's a phenomenal demand. It's a phenomenal range and diversity of content that is there and available for the first time in human history on a daily basis. But it's hard to get your stuff discovered. It's hard to get your content out there. So my team and I work with creators from very small, from people, as many of you know, again, their faces were shown on screen, in their bedrooms, in their garages, on the football pitches, creating their content, beauty, fashion, vlogging, all forms of content, and helping them to find their audience, to find the other people in Germany or in Berlin or indeed in the world, the other people who love and care about the things that they love and care about. That is the center of our platform, and it is the center of our pitch to the people who make our platform successful. We are nothing and we will be nothing unless our partners are successful. We only succeed when our partners succeed on our platform. And that is the central premise and the central vision that we have for building success. It's why we've invested here in Berlin or in London or Tokyo or New York or Los Angeles, and we'll be continuing to open these spaces around the world. It's why we've invested in a team of people like me and others who work with people to build their content and make it available on our platform. We're not trying to choose the winners. I was interested in some of the suggestions earlier that either we as a platform, in the way that I think Twitter was given as examples, or Vessel, should try and choose those winners. We should pick who's going to be successful. We should own those partners. We're not trying to do that. Equally, we're not looking for regulators to tell us who the successful creators here in Germany ought to be by dint of the fact that they have a relationship with those regulators. Our platform is premised on allowing you and people like you around the world to choose for yourself what's successful and what matters on our platform. I think that our platform has three things in addition to that that make it absolutely stand out. So the first is around our partnership program. We share revenue with our partners. Sure, it varies in terms of how much revenue you make depending on how many views you get and where those views come from. But that makes us stand out as a platform here that encourages not just our success, but our partners' success. It creates an ecosystem. The second thing, and it was alluded to very briefly, is we respect copyright. We spent over $60 million investing in what is now the state-of-the-art online system for recognizing and claiming copyrighted material. We make that available to all of our partners. There are over 7,000 businesses who are using that system to allow them to recognize versions of their content that are being made available across our platform and to block them, take them down, make them available, share revenues on them. The third thing that we see as being critically important is around the openness that we have as a platform. We develop for iOS, we develop for Android, we push our videos to Facebook and Twitter. We actively encourage our creators to make their content available on other platforms. For me, that's not a sign of weakness. That's a sign of confidence. That's a sign of knowing who you are, what you stand for, and the value that you will deliver to these people, both short-term and long-term. When John Green stands on stage and broadcast and says that only 20% of his revenue comes from YouTube, some people hear that as a negative thing. We hear that as a strength. John Green would never have landed the book deal or the film deal for Fault in Our Stars without YouTube as a platform that allowed him to create that relationship with his audience and to build his inspiration from that. I don't see that as a strength. We don't want to own our creators or all of our revenue streams. We see that as central to our success, is building creators, businesses, small and large, not just in one continent or in one Hollywood Valley or London or the old media world. Creators who come from all across Germany. Creators who come from all across Europe. Creators who come from all across the world. That is the centrality of our promise. And the last thing, which again was highlighted as a weakness, which I do want to touch on for us, so it's a fourth element, is around search. Search on our platform is key. Search on our platform is key because for users, it is key. It allows you, no matter where you are in the world, to see what the best and most viewed versions of a piece of content around that topic you're interested in. In some environments where we have benign regulatory systems, thankfully, like Germany or like the UK, we think that search is a weakness. It throws up the slightly rubbish stuff alongside the really good stuff that we'd much rather people watched. But not all of the world is like that. Not all regulatory regimes are like that. Some regulatory regimes are far from benign. We've had our site in the last 12 months blocked in Turkey, a country who's actively trying to join the EU. We've had our site blocked in many, many territories around the world. I would encourage all of you to think hard, both regulators and as consumers, before you decide you want to take away the power of search which allows the audience to decide what's important. So from my point of view, 4 things that make us stand out. We share revenues with our partners. We're actively set up to do that. Secondly, we have a system in place, it's called Content ID, that allows us to enforce and respect copyright around the world. Thirdly, we're an open platform. We push for our creators to make their content available in as many places as possible. And finally, search. It's not a weakness, it's a strength. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ben. Just 2 quick questions before we have to go on to the next candidate. In the US, YouTube is trying to experiment with long-form original content, pushed mainly by YouTube stars. And I'd like to know, is that something you would like to do internationally, worldwide?
So I think you're referring to YouTube Originals, which is a program.
Exactly.
It's not only around long-form content, or we hope it won't be. Excuse me. So that's a fund that's intended to allow our creators and our partners to push their creative ambitions. What we know is, and what we've seen, John Green's a great example. Fault in Our Stars was something that was funded way beyond YouTube as a platform. It built revenues that were far bigger in first release, in theatrical release, in cinemas and other things. At the moment, it's definitely the case that old world media models dominate in thinking around funding that kind of content. Very often, content comes down from YouTube, or creators have to not talk about what they're doing as they're building for a film or a TV show. What we've actually seen is with examples like Vice News, which makes its content available on HBO, so the most premium of premium channels in the US. They simultaneously upload that content onto YouTube. Same thing with John Oliver, who's actually British, but a British late-night host on HBO. Pushes his content available onto YouTube. Some people are being creative in terms of thinking, actually, this isn't an old world either-or model, but the whole can be bigger if you push content through all of these platforms. So we're looking to fund certain kinds of content to ensure that that level of disruption through the current windowing models begins to take place.
Okay, let's make it 3 quick questions, because I just read on DigiDays that Facebook is becoming more and more important, and probably more important than YouTube soon, because they are experiencing 4 billion video views per day. What do you say?
I haven't looked at what our numbers are. I think the first thing to say, and there'll be many, I've seen a number of YouTube creators in the audience already, who'll tell you, from our point of view, we think having other players in this market is hugely valuable. There have been, from our point of view, hugely strong local competition in every market that we've launched in, and we think that tide of online video and viewing of online video is a tailwind that everyone needs to get used to, whether you're a broadcaster or a television producer or others. I think Facebook has an incredibly strong platform, and they're very focused at the moment on driving views. 3 years ago, as our creators will tell you, we shifted what was important to us, much to some people's frustration, but we shifted it to watch time. The amount of time that people actually spend watching your video content. The likelihood that somebody has the stuff that sits at the top of your YouTube searches these days, or indeed any of your sites, you'll probably have seen it, isn't necessarily the most viewed. It's not the one that's got the highest number of views. Because what it's looking for is, how likely are people who click on this piece of content also to watch through for this piece of content? I don't know about your experience on other platforms, but very often I get bombarded with autoplay videos that I don't want to watch. I didn't initiate that view. It's not a view for me. From our point of view, that's fine. And if that's the metric you're chasing, that's one that you should continue to focus on. But from our point of view, both for our creators and for our visitors, we want people to come there and find content that they want to watch.
Last question for you for the moment. Who's your biggest rival here on stage?
They're all on stage, and many of our rivals aren't here. Indeed, some of our rivals got never made it to fruition. Amazonas was a great idea. For those who don't know anything about me, I was actually 3 years before Amazonas. I had been chairman of Project Kangaroo, which was the equivalent idea in the UK, which was a combination between the BBC, Channel 4, and ITV. Once again, competition regulators determined that there would be no local champion in online video. I think the only shame of the stage that we have here today is that there aren't stronger European players around, and maybe regulators looking at historic choices should think carefully about how they influence success today. We're investing here in Berlin to do as much as we can to ensure that the local market of creators here in Germany, across Europe, have the best chance that they've got of finding their audience, of building that audience, of building their business on YouTube and off YouTube. We're not going to ban them because they're putting their videos on Twitter or Facebook or Amazon or Yahoo. We want them to make all of their content available on our platform because it's only through diversity that we believe a genuinely strong video ecosystem will survive.
You're being very diplomatic to your fellow guys up here.
You want me to pick a winner amongst the other three?
Yeah, let's see how they treat you now. We have another big shot up here. Robert Bridge, Vice President of International Marketing of Yahoo. He studied environmental biology, and he could have saved the world, but he chose to save media industry. And Yahoo needs good people. So I'd like to know... I'd like to know, how will you attract users? Your stage.
Thank you. That's one of the more interesting introductions I've had. Firstly, thank you for inviting me. This morning, I got up and came to get ready to get here. I went to the station, and your German train system wasn't working, so thank you for that as well. Now, Yahoo, yes. So, I mean, we're 20 years old this year. Yes, that's double YouTube. You wanted to make this exciting, right? I mean, our business has now grown to over 1 billion users every month. Our main sort of pillars from a consumer perspective: email, search, digital content, and social. Social, through the acquisition of Tumblr. Tumblr's now grown to 475 million users a month. A lot of that there's a lot of video on there. But from that digital content pillar, video is a core part of our growth strategy. Our growth strategy has really taken off in the last couple of years under Marissa Meyer, where we see the most growth from a revenue perspective is through Mavens. This slightly awful acronym: mobile, video, native, social. Those are the 4 areas that we're seeing the most growth, and our counterparts here probably as well. But on the video side, we have a few areas that we're really investing in. I'd like to play a couple of videos to get you a little bit more excited and actually see some videos, seeing as we're talking about video. So can you roll the videos, please?
The pursuit is all about having an honest and raw and authentic portrayal of what it's actually like to be in your late 20s today.
It's not just dating anymore. I don't walk up to you and ask you out. I can do it on my phone. I can Tinder you. I can never meet you and judge you. And how does that affect people?
They're in pursuit of happiness, but I think what they're going to ultimately find is happiness is a fleeting emotional feeling, and that if they find meaning or if they find true friendships, they can find themselves. It's going to push boundaries that network just can't do. It's an edgy friends.
Everybody's crazy and selfish and a total maniac, but it's also really fun to be friends with those people because you're constantly scheming up crazy shit to do together. People get married later, they buy a house later, they start a family later, and so there's this in-between period where you have an opportunity to pursue the things that make you happy. The journey there, that's our show.
Kind of the cherry on the top is having someone as successful as Beth.
Bringing Beth on to produce with us and direct was a real get for us. She is just a comedy giant. All those years spent at Saturday Night Live doing what she did, it was just very clear that we had to have her.
We have a great opportunity with Yahoo because they identify unique talent with a specific voice, and they give us the creative freedom to go out and tell the stories that we believe in.
We feel the kind of anxiety to achieve greatness for them, but also the enthusiasm to go accomplish it.
Okay, so 2 examples of the type of stuff that we're doing. Live music and live activity is a core pillar of our video offering in the States. In the US, we've been running a concert a day live on Yahoo in partnership with Live Nation, with bands and artists like Justin Timberlake, Lady Gaga, etc. That sort of scale of artist, and that's now coming to Europe. In the UK, we'll be launching this summer with the Wireless Music Festival, and then running a concert every week live on Yahoo. And we're looking also to bring this program to Europe in the coming months as well. So live music is pretty key. You saw the Ultimate DJ competition. That is something that is actually going to be a global competition. Simon Cowell is executive producer. The guy that directed the Super Bowl and directed the Oscars is also going to be directing it. It's a really, really big program. It'll be promoted here in Germany, in the UK, globally. Again, live music, passion points that we think that younger millennials and consumers will want to engage with. Shorter form content has always been a core part of what we're about. We've also been, like our friends at YouTube, partner friendly. We certainly work with a lot of the traditional media companies as well as the up and coming producers. So people like Eurosport here in Germany, people like M6 in France, Sky in the UK, and Yahoo definitely believes in being part of that ecosystem and working with traditional media companies as well. On the longer form content, to be honest, we're dipping our toe in the water a little bit. You saw an example of The Pursuit, which is the sort of millennial version of Friends, which is going to be launched later in the year or early next year. We've also got some comedies called Sin City Saint, Other Space, and other originals that we'll be launching in Germany and across Europe in the fall, September as we call it here in Europe. So we're dipping our toe in the water around the longer form content. Shorter form content has been the main focus. And then importantly, from a revenue perspective, we have unparalleled data that helps target our advertising to the right people at the right time from a video perspective. And that's really key for us. It's key for our advertising partners. We bought a company called Brightroll, which is the largest programmatic video platform in the world, and that helps us reach the right people both on our network and also off our network. So that's the sort of monetization side. And then Tumblr is another massive untapped opportunity, huge amounts of video inventory that is coming online now. So with that, I shall pass you over to, no doubt, a similarly lovely introduction to the next person on stage. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert.
I know you're going to ask me questions, aren't you? Shit.
Just 2, 3 quick questions.
Yeah.
And quick questions means quick answers too, please.
Yes.
I think every time a guy from Yahoo is on stage, he's asked if Yahoo is a tech or a media company. And I'd like to know, do you invest more in video to really become a media company now?
I think we're investing a lot more in video. We've always been a media company since the Terry Semel days of the sort of late 90s. Obviously, when we first started out, the goal was to make order of the web. But since then, we've been a media company. And in this modern day, you can't be a media company without great tech, right? So I think it's somewhat of a dumb question, with respect, that you have to have incredible tech, and all the guys along this panel have incredible technology to power their media. And the reason why we're having this conversation about platforms is because all of us have built genuine platforms with amazing technology. So yes, we will be investing more in content to add on to the tech layer.
I'm starting to like this up here. Another question I'd like to ask is, you mentioned the originals you did,
yeah.
And I'd like to know, Netflix is expanding, has been expanding to more than 50 countries now. Are you just not successful enough in the US to expand, for example, to Germany?
I think we're a little bit behind Netflix, if I'm honest. I mean, they've been going, longer than we have in terms of the longer form content. They have a slightly different model as well. We're an ad-funded model, so it takes a little bit longer, I think. But we're certainly seeing success in the stuff that we did last year. We launched Community a couple of months ago, which was a show that was a great success in the States. Was taken off air, had a very big niche following that we've now brought online to much acclaim. So we're on a journey, and I've got a lot of respect for what the Netflix and the Amazon guys have done. But the ad-funded model, the free model from a consumer perspective, I think is one that is finding its feet and I think has real potential. And coming here to Europe, one of the great things, I went last week to New York to what they call the New Fronts, which is where all the digital guys show their upcoming shows, and Yahoo announced 18 new shows, of which all of them were cleared for international rights, and that's a step forward, that we can start bringing this content to Europe.
Okay, thank you. Then last question for now: who's your biggest rival up here, except me?
Well, yeah. What's the phrase about keeping your enemies close or whatever? I don't know. Look, all these guys are really strong. I think the bottom line is just the potential of this industry, and you have to look at this room to see how full it is, to sort of realize, just how much the potential there is for us all, and also how much consumers love this space, right? Although there are only 24 hours in the day, it's incredible how much incremental growth we're seeing, and how people are finding new ways to watch video, whether it be in their bedrooms, in their bathrooms, elsewhere, right? It is incredible. So I think all of these guys are competitors, but there's lots of room for us all.
You're being so nice to everyone except
apart from
me.
You. Yeah.
Thank you. I'm very happy Martin Ott is here with us today. Since 2012, he's Facebook's managing director of Northern, Central, and Eastern Europe. And I'd like to know, why should we watch videos on Facebook, Martin?
Well, we should watch videos on Facebook. I've prepared a couple of slides to show where we're heading to, and I think
not even videos.
Provide the answer. Maybe a video, so you'll see towards the end. I think to understand that, why we see such a big growth to your question in video, I think it's important to understand a bit the DNA also of Facebook and what we're trying to do. So our mission is to give people the power to share and make the world more open and connected. That's why people come to Facebook to actually connect with the family and friends, but also share or discover things that matter most to them. And so we are trying to be, a relevant part, if you want, in people's life. And if you look at Facebook today, we're relevant in people's life, hopefully with 1.4 billion people with a blue app. the blue app that you see, that's the core Facebook. But we've evolved. So we've evolved into a family of apps as we've understood that the patterns in consumer behavior is changing. And so instead of putting everything into one app and having, we now have basically an app for everything, and trying to build really unique and world-class different types of apps that give people the power to share and connect and discover contents, like you see with groups, WhatsApp, or Messenger, or Instagram. And the most important driver that we're seeing there is that people spend time on mobile. So that's, and when I say spending time on mobile, that is not that everyone is shifting now technology, buying mobile phones. It's actually that people change the way they consume media, the way they spend time on media. And the clicker doesn't work. Because now I have a video for you, but wow. So before we get to the video, let's look how the behavior has actually changed. Okay, it's a bit delay. Facebook used to be about text. For those of you who remember, have been on the platform for some years. 5 years ago, people put status updates and wall posts on Facebook, and there was pure text. Then you had pictures emerging as a much more expressionistic way and form to express and to share. And today we see video. And we've heard the numbers before. As we've announced, we have over 4 billion video views per day now, quite a rapid change compared to the years before. And the massive driver of this actually has been mobile. It's over 75% of the video views we see today is on mobile. So I said, if you look, we have our phone with us, everybody, I assume, every single day, round the clock. We check the phone up to 100 times a day to check emails, messages, browse the news feed. And that, fortunately for us, people do spend quite a lot actually on Facebook and Instagram. If you look at it, about every 4th or 5th minute, the time they spend on their mobile and Facebook and Instagram together. So what the difference is on mobile, if you look at what's happening, is that it actually gives people the power. People have the power to decide, and we call it thumb stopping. Because people browse to their feed, and they can actually decide with their thumb where to stop, which content to engage with, and which content even to potentially consume further, or to browse on. And that also provides some challenge, of course, opportunities for content creation and how to interact with it. Because in that feed where people are in the discovery mode and want to learn about things, over 50% of the videos we're seeing is actually from people that are being shared. So it's it's shared from friends, and that has new challenges and new demands for content creation as well. How do you engage the people? How do you capture the interest? How do you actually get them to look at it and not flip on with their thumb to look at something else? What we're also seeing is with that when you continue that the people consuming many more frequent times and much richer media. And when we now look a bit futuristic, if you want, into the future, what's happening next? We're looking beyond video. Some of you might know we've bought a company called Oculus Rift. And you will see, maybe 5 years into the future, some even richer video experiences. Virtual reality. When you look at this is actually a spherical video with 360 degrees view. It's filmed by up to 24 cameras. And it's soon coming to newsfeed as well. So what it enables you is, instead of just passively sitting back and consuming video, you can now, I mean, it feels like you're there. It feels like you're right in the middle, and you can actually engage, interact, continue to actively drive your video consumption. So that's a bit into the future. Of course, as we look ourselves at the platform, the key piece is to stay relevant in people's life. And for that, of course, we provide our partners. Some of them actually sit here on the stage where you're always talking about rivals and competition. We do partner with a lot of people and help them to reach that audience and help them to discover interesting new services and then potentially drive them to their own properties. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let's try and talk about virtual reality later on. I'd like to know, would you say YouTube is a social network?
If YouTube is a social network, I'm probably not the right person to answer that. Maybe I'll pass this.
No, I want you to answer it.
Pass it over. I think, obviously, as we talked before, right? There's different ways that people consume media, and different ways that people want to engage with video. YouTube is one option. You have Amazon, of course, different types of content you view there on Yahoo as well, and on Facebook as well. So even though I would not specifically now call YouTube a social network as such, it is definitely an interesting destination for video. What we see on our platform, we see different types of videos emerging in how people consume video. So it's more. And this also, when we look into the future, what we're trying to build and how our own video platform emerges, it is when do people consume video. So, for example, it is very short-form video on our site at the moment. Everyone has a camera in their pocket now with their smartphone, and can also become an own creator and content and share videos and basically become a creator. Then you maybe stand at a Starbucks waiting in line. You have just a few, sometimes seconds to kill, or sometimes a few minutes. And when we look on what we see today on our platform, of course, it stops, right? So you view one video, and then it stops. So when we look into the future, what we are trying to evolve is as well. Why not give then our people the opportunity to browse more, to see more things, have different times of the day when they potentially relax, take a break, to discover more content, to then potentially view longer form content on our partner sites.
Okay, I understood that you don't want to talk about rivals, so I'm asking you, who is your most important partner here on stage?
Our most important partner here on stage would be Amazon. As Amazon, they have a great video offering, and of course, is what I mentioned. People take Facebook as an engine of discovery, and to look for new ways, new forms of content, and Amazon content would be content that they would discover on our platform, have maybe a preview, see something, and then continue to click on to their site to actually view the full form video.
That's just perfect, because Christoph is the last one missing. Christoph Schneider is Managing Director of Amazon Instant Video in Germany and responsible for the content strategy here. Why would viewers spend more time on Amazon Instant than on Yahoo, YouTube, or Facebook?
Okay, thank you for the introduction. I'm very happy to be here and to talk to you about Prime Instant Video. So we have just started. It's almost 1 year ago when we launched Prime Instant Video in Germany, and we have seen really a great last year. So people really love our service, and maybe if there's someone here in this room who doesn't know Amazon or Prime Instant Video, I have a short video clip.
Wir präsentieren Amazon Prime Instant Video. Blockbuster und Filmklassiker. Und die besten TV-Serien.
Oh ja.
Sofort verfügbar und bereits in jeder Prime-Mitgliedschaft enthalten.
Interessant.
Sie sind bereits Prime-Mitglied? Dann warten schon jetzt tausende Filme und Serien auf Sie.
Ja!
Noch kein Prime-Kunde? Dann testen Sie Prime Instant Video einfach 30 Tage kostenlos.
Sehr verlockend.
Amazon Prime Instant Video, der Streaming-Service von Amazon.
Streaming ist ein Horrorfilm.
Oder Horrorfilme, weil es gibt nämlich Stream 1, Stream 2 und sogar Stream 3.
Das sind so Katzenvideos.
Das ist verboten, dafür kommt man in den Knast.
Das sind doch diese schmutzigen Filmchen, oder?
Streaming, ja, das ist ja furchtbar. Aber das ist halt auch klar, wenn man den falschen Glasreiniger nimmt, hast du Streaming an.
Nein, das ist Streaming. Steck einfach den Amazon Fire TV Stick in deinen Fernseher und sieh tausende Filme und Serien von Prime Instant Video, Netflix und mehr. Neu, der Amazon Fire TV Stick. So geht Streaming.
Sehen Sie jetzt mit Amazon Prime Instant Video aktuelle Filme.
High five!
Yeah. Und Lieblingsserien.
Sehr verlockend.
Jederzeit verfügbar. Jetzt 30 Tage kostenlos testen. Amazon Prime Instant Video.
So I think that with Amazon Prime Instant Video, now the pay video on demand has arrived mass market here in Germany. I think we were a couple of years behind the US and UK, but I think this has changed now. And for some reasons, I think now we have much better bandwidth here in Germany. We have a much broader distribution, so we have many new devices where you can stream the services. We have much better content, so we have more selection, we get film and TV much earlier, and of course everything for a great price. And I think these are the key successful factors for video on demand here in Germany. And I think these are the key success factors of Amazon. So for Amazon, the three main things are selection, convenience, and price. And that's exactly what we are offering on Prime Instant Video to our customers. We have great TV series. We have more than 12,000 TV episodes. We have most of the most popular German and American TV shows on our service, some of them on an exclusive basis prior to free TV, which is very important. And of course, where we are very proud of, we have our Amazon Studio content. So maybe you already know the great series we have produced in Amazon Studios, like Transparent, who got 2 Golden Globes. We just launched Bosch. We are now launching in OV version Mozart in the Jungle. Dub version, the OV version is already on the service. There are upcoming new great shows from Amazon Studios. We have great kids content from Amazon Studios. So that's one column we are really proud about it. Then, of course, we have a great selection of film. So everybody's talking about TV, but film, in Germany at least, is still very important. And we were the first service to offer really a high number of premium blockbuster films prior to free TV. And we have, of course, a big library with great classic films. And last but not least, a great selection of kids content. So we have, for the big family, for everything, for mass market, a great selection for a great price, 49 euros within the Amazon Prime service with free shipping. So I think all this together makes our service really great for mass market. And with a new device, what you have seen, like Fire Stick and Fire TV. Just a question, who has Fire TV or Fire Stick at home? Okay, there's some more potential. So I think we are really, as we say at Amazon, we are still at day one. I think we have a great future ahead of us. And I think the future has just started. And so I see in the next years a lot of very happy, great Amazon Prime customers. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Christoph. I just became an Amazon Prime subscriber too, by accident, actually. I wanted books to come faster and without paying. So now you're counting me as a subscriber, and I'd like to know, isn't that pimping up the subscriber numbers a little bit?
No, absolutely not, because our subscribers now, after 1 year, they exactly know what they're getting. So if they sign up for Prime, they know they have these bundles. They have the next day free shipping, they have the Kindle library, landing library, and they have, of course, online video. And what we have seen over the last year, that we have really got a big push on Prime customers, and they just, I don't know if they mainly came, but I think the whole package is so attractive that really a high number of customers signed up for Prime last year. So we're really happy.
You let subscribers vote for scripts, which I find quite interesting. I read that most of them voted for comedy and more kind of superficial stuff, and that the transgender series Transparent you did would never have came to action if you would have let subscribers decide. So I'd like to know, is democracy a bad thing finally?
No, absolutely not. And I absolutely disagree. So it's not that our customers didn't like Transparent. I don't know where you have this information. I think it's an absolutely great tool because we offer the audience great directors, great actors, editors, just to send in their scripts. We have a look at these scripts and then we decide together from which script we will produce a pilot, and then we just put the pilot up and let our customers decide. So I think that's an absolutely great thing. I mean, of course, other studios do the same thing, but in a small scale, because they don't have the opportunity to do the same thing as we can do at Amazon. But I think the best vote is the best from your customers. And then afterwards, together with this vote, we decide which series or which pilot will become a series. And I mean, for example, Transparent had great votes and won 2 Golden Globes and is actually working. So we just started with the German dub version of Transparent, and this was by far the most successful show we have launched over the last year on the exclusives.
Martin just told us that mobile is becoming so important, and I'd like to know, is that a problem for you? Because Transparent, for example, is something I wouldn't like to watch on my mobile phone, right?
Oh, it depends. I mean, there are a lot of people who would just want to watch a series on their tablet, on mobile, on a big screen. But it's not a problem for us because we are offering, let's say, we have our content on so many devices, so everybody can decide on which device you want to watch which kind of content. So it's up to customers. We just offer a broad selection, great convenience. So wherever you want to watch it, you can do it.
Okay. Robert.
Here we go.
I know YouTube stars, I know Vine stars, but I don't know Yahoo stars. Will they come?
They're here already. As I mentioned before, I mean, a lot of our strategy in Europe has been through partnerships. So many of the stars that you see on television are now on our platform. In terms of created by Yahoo, I think we're much stronger in the States. You know, our magazine, digital magazines, so health, beauty, news, finance, sports, all of those properties are number 1 or number 2 in the US. And people like Katie Couric, Naomi Campbell, people like that are producing content for us there. So you know, and you know, people like Simon Cowell and stuff are coming to us. So there are, you know, well-known people, stars that are either on Yahoo or are coming.
So will you open a creator space in Berlin next year?
Unfortunately, we don't have quite as deep pockets as my friend to the left, but who knows? You know, maybe one day. Look, I mean, you know, our focus is on delivering the best content that we can to our users, and creating engaging experiences with our products. And as mentioned, we're making real progress. And you know, I've been at Yahoo 5 years, and the first 2 or 3 years were quite frankly crazy. Marissa Meyer turned up with my boss Kathy Savitt, who's head of marketing and head of editorial, and the change has been dramatic, right? Like, and we last year we grew 20% from an audience perspective to get over the billion number, and the acquisition of Tumblr has been a real shot in the arm. So we're seeing progress.
Martin, actually everybody has done original content up here except you. So when are you starting?
We have no plans to create original content ourselves, as I said, and I think that's also important for people to understand. You know, when we talk to partners, what we do, what we don't do. We really see ourselves as a very, you know, mission-driven company, and the mission is to give you know, people power to share and build tools for them to connect with each other, with other companies, with brands, other services. So it's not our place actually. In that ecosystem to create you know, original long-form content or whatever, but rather provide the platform for people then to engage, discover, share this exciting content.
I found the virtual reality video quite impressive.
It's a bit freaky here when you move around, and so I get a bit dizzy when I do that. So.
And I'm really waiting for the first original long-form series with virtual reality. Is someone up for that? Ben, come on.
You've been able to upload...
I've been chasing Nessie
360
on YouTube.
virtual reality videos on YouTube for the last 2 months. That was one of the 7 blog posts that we made in the last year. Who knows? There are millions of creators out there. I'm sure somebody's already working on it.
I know that professional producers are really keen on the fact that there are more and more platforms turning up. Which address should I give them?
Take mine, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hopefully we're already working with them.
Except you.
They're most likely on our platform as well, so...
Very good. I'd like to know if you have any questions to the 4 guys up here. Yes, coming up to you.
A question to Mr. Ott from Facebook. When are you intend to introduce a mechanism for content creators, for labels, like Content ID YouTube provides? Because just right now, I see a lot of content popping up that is user uploaded on Facebook and that is not monetized and that is not, that brings no money to the people who are doing this kind of stuff.
At the moment, we operate the platform as a tool for a lot of our creators to upload actually content and share it, and then drive traffic, drive reach, viewership to their other properties. We do offer opportunities to monetize it within the app ecosystem with our Facebook audience network, but there's no current plans to expand that to the content producers.
Thank you. That's a good question. I'd like to give it to Ben too, because you just mentioned in your small talk in the beginning that you were chasing piracy, but I work for a public broadcaster, and I know so many, producers who say like, "What? Everything is up there. What can I do?"
I think that Content ID is available. It's available to all of our partners. Here in Germany, I'd love to know which producers, because we work with most of them. We also work with the broadcasters, so both the two public service broadcasters and the major commercial broadcasters. All Content ID does as a tool, and it's been available on the platform for many, many years, is it makes a little digital fingerprint of the full-length piece of content, and it then searches every other video that's up on YouTube and every video that's uploaded in the future, and it will claim that on behalf of the person who is the underlying IP owner. And it will do that only in Germany, because maybe you only own those rights in Germany, or it will do that all across Europe, or it will do that all across the globe. And what it will do is apply whatever rules you want. So it will block a piece of content altogether. It will allow people to share clips that are, less than 5 minutes. You decide the length of time. And what it will do is either just leave them up there, it will allow you to track who's using them or where they're being viewed, where that viewing is coming from. Maybe you're an independent producer. It's really interesting to you to know that lots of people in San Francisco are watching it, because if you're pitching to a US network, that's an interesting piece of data. Or it will allow you to turn on advertising around it. So we've built this tool. I'll be very straightforward. It's an arms race between us and the pirates. We had to, when the introduction of tablets, we all love introduction of mobile. Mobile now is more than 60% of our viewing on YouTube. But 3 years ago, the introductions of tablets allowed you to lock the screen and turn it upside down. So everybody started uploading upside-down versions of your content that they'd ripped off and uploaded onto YouTube. It took our engineers 2 or 3 months to catch up with that. And that's it. And when I said in my pitch, item number 2 is you need a robust copyright protection platform. For those people, in particular those of us sat up here who are doing video sharing, if you're in the game of video sharing, there are people out there who are spending their days and their blood, sweat, and tears making that content. They're pouring everything that they are into that content. You have to defend their copyright the same way you would if somebody was stealing Porsches off the front of a garage.
Does that really work automatically?
Yeah.
Good. Okay. Do you have any further questions?
Hello, I have a question to Mr. McOwen-Wilson from YouTube. A lot of creators are complaining about the declining revenues on YouTube and seeing it every day. It's becoming harder to make money with their YouTube creations, and they are eager waiting for Facebook to launch a partner program on their own, so they have the opportunity to find another revenue stream. What are you doing to keep your creators happy on YouTube and to make it easier for them to get better revenues? Because YouTube also is claiming a lot of revenue for themselves, as a matter of fact.
Sure. So first thing to say is, I don't know of many cases where people are where absolute revenue is declining. Our revenue overall is up over 50% year on year, and obviously all of that's being shared direct. None of that goes directly to us. That's just driven by partners and partner viewing. What we are seeing is, as we've launched in more and more territories around the world, that you get some territories that, it may or may not be a surprise to everybody in this room that we've launched in in my region, lots of the Middle East in the last few years. The RPMs that you get from advertising in the Middle East aren't the same as the RPMs that you get from advertising here in Germany or the UK. So for many of our creators, it is true as the platform expands globally, that RPMs are less strong than they were when we only had that. But overall, I think, and if it's not the case, then we should definitely be talking to you. We're delivering absolute revenue growth to our partners. And what we're trying to do is, in those markets as we launch, is to build quickly. We want the RPMs in Thailand and Vietnam and Saudi Arabia to grow as rapidly as they've done in other more developed markets where we've been present for longer.
This is becoming a YouTube discussion. Don't you have questions for the other three lovely guys up here?
This is a question to all of the panel. So I would like to know what you do over here. What do you do to make your content accessible for the deaf and hard of hearing community and the blind community?
You want to start?
It's certainly something, as an immersive video content is not the easiest form, on a mobile device. So we're probably not, honestly, on the forefront of driving those changes. So maybe some of our
Go on, Christoph.
colleagues.
I
Right.
didn't get the question. What was it?
Can you repeat the question quickly, please? The microphone.
I heard it. I can.
Yeah, start and then.
So my question was what you do for your content to make it accessible for the deaf and hard of hearing community through subtitles or captions, and for the blind community through audio description.
So closed captions is a big issue, and we are working on it, and very soon we will provide subtitles and closed captions to all of our content.
Yeah, I mean, some of our content is in the same boat. We have subtitles and closed captioning, but not all, and certainly something we're working on.
So we've got closed captioning available on the site. It's always driven, because the content's not ours, it's driven by the uploader, but certainly all of our broadcast and producer partners work with that. What we've also introduced is an auto-translation tool on those things. Not the best yet in the world at doing that. What's been more effective, in particular, in terms of getting those closed captions out into multiple languages quickly, is working with partners and audiences from those partners who auto-translate. So Jamie Oliver, for example, who's well, you guys know, because he's big here, has a creator he works with here in Germany and in Brazil, so he's an audience member who translate his captions for him. There you go, the power of the many.
Thank you. Very good question. I'd like to ask the question in a broader way too about access, because the more platforms are joining the market, the more content is created So how do I find what I'm looking for or not even looking for, Robert?
Well, I mean, our belief is that there's a mix of algorithm-driven discovery and editorial discovery. Data is super important across all of our platforms. We reckon we have 150 billion data activities a day on the Yahoo network, and we use that data to inform both advertising, but also to inform content that bubbles up the videos to people based on their interests. So the stream on the Yahoo homepage is predominantly driven by algorithms based on people's interests. At the top of the page, though, it's a bit more of a mix between editorial decisions and algorithmic decisions. So I think it's a little bit of both. In the past, obviously, it was all editorially driven, in traditional media, and now with digital media, the algorithms from personalization are a big component of that. And I think, we also talked about personalization and data is actually driving decision making on what shows to commission and curate. So I think, Amazon have talked about that, Netflix have talked about that. And we certainly use the data to inform us in terms of what shows to look for and what to go after.
In what way exactly?
Well, looking at what's consumed, what resonates. When you have as much data as you have, as long as you're analyzing it in the right way, you can see what's working, and you can use that. To try and inform what shows you're choosing and what works best. I mean, it's logical, but it is something that we pay a lot of attention to. A lot of our decisions are made on the data that we see from our sites.
But isn't there the danger of more of the same?
Well, and that's where you need to have the editors as well. And to the point about the show that we talked about earlier, you still need to have some editorial and director nous to sort of think about what will resonate and understanding of human behavior as well as the algorithm. It's a mix.
Christoph, what about you?
Absolutely. I would completely 100% agree what you said. I think it's in the past was more the editorial recommendations, but it's recommendation engine, it's personalization. The best thing is when you come to our service, you always find something appealing to watch. And there's no need that it's always the biggest blockbuster. Can be an art house film, can be a smaller series. It's important that you find something what you want to watch. That's really a big challenge, and we are working on it, and I think we are getting better and better.
Do you know how many technicians work only on the personalization tool?
I can't tell. It's a lot.
Netflix has nearly 1,000. Do you think it's like more or less the same?
I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. But it's a huge number. Yeah, it's extremely important, and that's why we have a lot of bright people working on that.
Ben, how important is personalization for you on YouTube?
So personalization, we mean something different, I suspect, from what these guys mean. Personalization on YouTube, which you saw with the top of the page, is personalization. It's what you do to your homepage on YouTube. It's about the channels that you pick. It's about the things that those people that you're interacting with on the platform are driving. For us, that diversity of viewing is, as I said, that's our strength. That's what we want. I don't want everybody who logs on in Berlin to have that's not my proposition, to have the same homepage. You each have the interests that matter to you, or you come and you search for that piece of content that's relevant to you at that one moment in time. You've got, your son is playing football at the weekend for the first time and you want to show him how to take a free kick. There'll be 1 week in your life, or maybe a month in your life, when watching videos about how to take a free kick is important to you. I'm not going to start feeding you free kick videos forever and a day. And so for us, personalization is genuinely that consumer-driven.
This guy might post the video on Facebook, right? Probably not on YouTube, because timeline is personal already.
Yeah, I think the question is a very important one. Is people are completely overwhelmed with the amount of information that is out there, right? And it's not getting less. It's growing every single second, and then to really know even what you're searching for, or to know what to look for, is just getting more and more overwhelmed. That's why my newsfeed will always look completely different to your newsfeed, because that's what we're trying to solve, trying to find out what is the right relevant piece of content at the right time for you in that instant second. And we could choose on a daily basis from 1,500 plus different types of contents on average for every single person, although you might not be able in that day to consume that much. So that's something we're very, very focused on, and I think that's one actually our key focus areas to find how do we make the things in your newsfeed more personal and more relevant for you.
Too personal means filter bubble, right?
What?
Too personal means complete filter bubble. I only see what my friends like.
It's something we're continuing to evolve and test with constantly. That we're seeing some people that based on the interactions that you had in the past, or the more and more pieces of content you subscribe to, right? Like my newsfeed, when I use it a lot, of course, to share internally. We use it as an internal work tool as well. So my newsfeed is full of internal company information, and I use it as well as a source from publishers to keep up to date. So it might look completely different than others. The key is though to understand what is important to you, and not to create that bubble. But if you feel for you, the information from your friends might be more important than the news from, I don't know, Bild-Zeitung or Zeit or Süddeutsche, then that needs to be, higher ranked if you want in your newsfeed.
But still, you filter publishers you like, right?
No, we don't filter publisher we like, and we don't filter.
I mean, you as a person, not you as Facebook.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So it's actually the publisher that, and we encourage good content. So if you look at it, it's publisher, good content that a lot of people like, consume, share, comment on, gets a much wider distribution than content that is bad or people don't like, or actually tell us, that it's not appropriate. So yes.
We would have the time for one last question now. I think the microphone decides by itself where it goes. No, it doesn't? So right there.
Okay, one question to Facebook. If I'm a publisher, if I upload my video at YouTube, I have an established way to get revenue from it. If I upload it directly onto Facebook, I only get views, but I don't get anything else. So why should I do it as a publisher?
We work with a lot of publishers as our partners, and they do see that uploading content on our platform is a great way to drive referral traffic to their sites. When you look around the room, might be a couple of our partners as well. They do see sometimes even a majority part of their traffic already coming from us, and that's how we operate then to monetize on their side. So we see ourselves someone driving traffic to partner sites.
The link. Why do I have to upload it directly? You could also prefer the link in your algorithm.
That's a very good. That's a very good question. So we've had that in the past, and what we've seen is that the user experience is a very bad one when you look at how to consume content where people click on and click, and you actually lose people across that funnel when they when the content is not provided in the right form. You can even compare it when you embed a video, for example, as we talk about video today, from different player on Facebook. Of course it works, but it doesn't start automatically. You have to click, and then you end up on a different site. You have a delay, then you have to click on. Whereas if you embed it directly, it starts playing. You click on, you're instantly on a different site. As we now embed new functionalities to buttons to say learn more or continue on that partner site.
Thank you for the question. I think we'll talk about newspapers a little bit more in the next session, about newspapers and TV companies who cooperate. I would like to thank the four guys up here very much for their patience, and you for listening to us. Thank you.
Thank you.